Girls of Reddit, what's the hardest part of being a girl? Time of the month. But the thing is, if we don't get one then we would probably think, oh crap, am I pregnant? We just can't win. And no, we can't hold it in like urine, it just blobs out. It just blobs out is the most accurate description I've heard about how a period feels. I get annoyed with the sex part sometimes. I feel like my body is so stupidly complicated at times with what it likes and wants in order to reach orgasm. I wish the vagina was as consistent and simple as dicks. Every man ever just agreed with you 1000%. A man can confirm. When you pee and the outer labius get in the way and you end up having like 3 different streams of piss and one of them ends up being just the right angle to drip on the outside of the toilet. And then you see all the only guys will understand above a tap with the stream splitting into 2. Like no, I can't count the amount of times I've peed on the cheeks because of the double stream. LMAO. Never thought I'd say that on the internet. Edit. I never thought I would say this, and this is so glitch, but I have to at this point. My second most liked comment is how I piss on my own ass. Periods. Especially if you have really bad cramps. I have endometriosis, and it causes horrifyingly painful cramps. I swear some nights I wanted to throw up from how much it was hurting. And we get them every month. What a ripoff. I mean, before I have time to forget the last period, here is the next meltdown on its way, followed by uterine warfare for 2 to 3 days. I'm a computer science major. I build PCs, program, do game dev, all kinds of stuff. I also used to be on a first robotics team. Basically, I know my way around tech. Every single time I go into a Fry's or Micro Center with any male person, even if they do not speak or show any interest in what is going on, employees talk to them. As in, I ask a question, the employee answers to my male friend. So annoying. This happens in car shops too. I always bring my dude best friend with me to drop my car off because he's a big, bearded dude who wears lumberjack shirts and looks like he knows his way around a car. They tell him what work needs to be done on my car and what it's going to cost. I bring him because he always seems to get quoted a lower price than I do. This is the same man who told me consistently that the tire pressure light was malfunctioning on his car and didn't realize that the actual problem was that he had no idea how much air a tire should have and had been underfilling his tires for years. Cramps, non-existent pockets, more expectations for looks, being thought of as overdramatic and weak, and my mom complaining because I'm a tomboy and that I should like things I don't like because all girls like shopping and this type of clothes and that type of shoes and makeup. I'm not trying to be quirky and not like other girls or anything. It's just not my thing. And I don't bash on or not understand anyone who does like those things. I just hate having it all attempted to be forced on me just because I'm female. Being expected to nicely laugh off pervs who won't stop hitting on you. I'm not a buzzkill. Some dude sees me out with the girls, doesn't notice the wedding ring and chats me up. Either work my husband into the convo, or if he's being more direct, sorry I'm taken. No harm, no foul, but leaning in and telling me about how naughty in bed he thinks I am. All the things he wants to do to me etc. Then I'm the bad guy for telling him he's disrespectful. Being expected to nicely laugh off pervs who won't stop hitting on you. Used to be a server, worst part was no tip if you didn't tolerate it. Sure, my place had my back for the most part, but they didn't compensate us if they had to kick out one that went way overboard. Lack of upper arm strength. This is so true. I'm 6'3" and have more than once been told I look like I could kick a guy's ass. But I have 2 older brothers, and I know from experience that if a guy wants to beat the crap out of me, he most likely can. The fact that my sweatshirt cost as much as my male roommates, but is like 4 times thinner. What the duck? Having to be overly cautious when walking alone, even when walking in my complex parking lot. Sometimes I wish I could go for a run at night or walk in the city. Literally not being able to have a friend that's a guy without people thinking we're dating. It's even worse because I'm gay and a lot of the time guys will just be like, but you just haven't met the right one. I'll tell my friends about a funny thing my guy friend did and later they'll bring him up as that guy you have a thing for just because I've mentioned him once. It's so annoying. Being dismissed as emotional or dramatic when you are genuinely going through a hard time or want to speak out about something. I think the over-sexualizing of my body, just as it was developing. I received more comments and was touched and harassed by boys my age who didn't know any better. Like we aren't 7 or 8 anymore, it's not okay to wrestle with me and be aggressive just so you can grab my body parts in a unassuming manner. The straight up comments about how large my chest was when half the other girls barely had A-cups. It was a lot to deal with when for all of my life that wasn't an issue. I had to accept these changes and then others use these changes to either hurt me emotionally or take advantage of me. It made me wear bigger clothes to hide my body, but I was already chunky and my mom seemed to not understand I wasn't going to fit into smaller sizes just because she did. Also my mom refused to spend the money on proper bras for my sister and I until she was embarrassed by a family member for not taking her chesty daughters to get proper bras. We were wearing sports bras much longer than we should have been for how large our chests were. D+ cups. I haven't had a kid, but having seen my friends go through pregnancy and childbirth. Yeah, I'm gonna say having a kid. 9 months of carrying a baby around while it leeches off your body and your hormones go crazy. Then, unless you're one of the lucky ones with an easy birth, you go into the hospital and tear yourself apart pushing a baby out to the point you have to wear diaper-sized pads in the weeks following as all the afterbirth finishes clearing itself out of your system. And this is happening while you are caring for your newborn and dealing with things like breastfeeding. Plus you get postpartum hormones while you're surrounded by well-meaning friends and family members that will give you unwanted care tips as well as making you feel like you're not a good mother because you may not have immediately bonded with your kid, etc. Like damn man. And in all these centuries of scientific progress, they have come up with decent ways to make giving birth easier, like epidurals. But the same basic concept of pregnancy and having the baby is the same as it was centuries or even thousands of years ago. Edit. I just wanted to throw out there that I'm a woman who has dealt with some do-a-do like carrying around a golf ball sized ovarian tumor for over a year before having surgery to remove the whole thing. I also have some issues from a spine surgery that has caused some numbness in my lower body. So I've had some of the worst duties because I literally cannot feel when they start forming. So I don't notice them until they become raging infernos of pain and fever and require a much longer course of antibiotics, etc. I also had to do pelvic floor exercises because funny thing about losing sensation down there, your muscles decide to start slacking too. And I'm child free / mostly can't have children thanks to thyroid issues and the lack of an ovary. I say all the above, and I still think pregnancy / childbirth / childrearing is one of the hardest parts of being a woman. It's no joke. I've heard being a woman makes it more difficult to be a fan of anything considered a boy / man's hobby. Basically, if you're a fan of video games, comics, or cars then you'll experience a bunch of gator-keeping attitudes from the guys also in those worlds. How much have you experienced that? The frustration of balancing being assertive with not being that bitch in the workplace. I want my ideas heard. I want to be respected. I want to be considered fairly for promotions and leadership positions. But if I do twice as much work as my male coworkers, I get half the credit. And if I point out my accomplishments, I have to soften them, or else in being a bragging bitch, while my male coworkers can take unabashed credit for their accomplishments all day. The fact is that men can take up space and own their confidence and accomplishments in a way that women will be punished for. It's incredibly frustrating to try to succeed professionally when the person in charge of promotions gives me the side eye for talking about this new thing I did, and they just smile and nod when a man does the same thing. People being immediately dismissive of your ability to doing something simply because of your genitals. I once had someone tell me I shouldn't be putting together a desk I purchased. They said I should let my BF do it. Also, the price of feminine hygiene products Having "are you on your period" be used as reason to dismiss all of my feelings, and generally being talked down to by a lot of guys. Everyone else already mentioned the obvious period cramps, but I'll add people thinking it's okay to touch you without your permission. And if you state your boundaries and say "please, don't touch me," people will think you're a bitch. Because women and girls are trained to be nice, and standing up for yourself goes against that. Weight fluctuation. Never being taken seriously. Not with how I feel. Not my pain. None of it. Everything I do, there must first be a fight to be taken seriously. Painful boobs. The guilt and pressure of living in a society that overwhelmingly requires a two-income household to support a family, but places a vast majority of childcare and household demands on the woman's shoulders. Oh, and we're taught from a young age to be pretty and polite and don't complain too much, to the extent that we will put ourselves in harm's way despite our better judgment for fear of coming off as impolite. Duck that. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.